Hello guys, how are you? On this video, the fuel filler cap does not release. It is electrical operated and this does not release. You can only operate it with the cable, the security cable, to open the lid. Let's check out how can we diagnose this problem. Before that, let me just give you here a quick follow-up on the speedometer. As I told you on the last video, I was trying to fish out this part and I was looking through a very dark hole, and what I saw down there appeared to me to be this part over here. In fact, it was not. In my mind, I was hoping this part to be installed to be inside of a metallic shaped hole, and in that way with the drill to drill out a little bit of the part and screw in a screw and pull out the part through here. That did not happen, and I was forced to take out this diff cover. By the way, this diff cover is immensely difficult to remove with the engine in place. Very difficult, but I was able to do so. Removed the diff cover. I was hoping for this part to be just laying around over there, or even maybe almost when taking out the drain plug, take it out like that. But as I removed this part, this was nowhere to be found, and I thought maybe it was in a million pieces and it went down with the oil. But as I was turning the differential, yes, this was stuck inside of the differential. Yes, it is a plastic part and maybe that's not a problem, but someday, better to play safe. I disassemble everything, I recover this part over here, and now as you can see, this old assembly can be fitted in one go. So imagine this is the place. You have this screw over here that goes inside of that hole, and you have a new O-ring over here. Perfect. Screw in here with a new washer. As you can see right now, it goes like a butterfly. The other part where this works is a bit scuffed up, but I think with a screwdriver I can solve that. And as I'm here, I will obviously replace the seal again. In this way, repairing 1, 2 with this O-ring and 3 oil leaks that it had. And I discovered while they were hammering on the sensor, like I told you on the last video, that part there is broken. And that one also has a crack on it. So I have to repair this cover and assemble everything, and everything will be fine. Now, about here, the fuel filler cap, you press on this button and it triggers a relay to open the lid, like just like this trunk release over here, okay? So let's figure out what is happening with the system. Like any electrical system, every time you have a electrical operated component, you have the feeding of the battery, on this case is on the trunk, you have the grounds, you have the buttons, you have the fuses and the relays. So you have to have some kind of guidance to understand where the components are. So back here we have the solenoid for the lid, and we can test this solenoid very easily. You just have to have a battery, a spare battery or the battery of the car, 2 pieces of wire, and you can operate this component. The previous technician did not do this procedure and bought a second-hand solenoid for this problem. I tested the second-hand one and I also tested this original one, and both are working in perfect condition. So the issue is not on the solenoid. The previous technician also replaced the cluster, like I said, and also I believe there the button for the release system, and so far the system does not work. You can in fact open the lid using the rope that you have over here and thus opening the lid, but now it's time to solve this issue. I did already talk about a lot about relay systems. These cars, these older cars, all work on the basis of relays, and this is no exception. You have a relay dedicated solely to this function, and you have to locate this relay. And from what I can see on the chart, the original chart for this car, that relay, the gray one, is the one that goes to that system. So for that, let's test the relay really fast, because I already did some videos about how they work, how to test them. All the ins and outs of relay systems is down on the description, so you to understand very thoroughly. The videos are old, I know, but they are very, very thorough on the explanation, so how they work. Okay, so this is supposed to be the relay for this solenoid. You want to take this out and find out what are the signal prompts. Are these two ones. I already talked about this on the videos about relays, so go check that out. Then these two will close up a circuit inside of the relay that shunts this one with this one. Forget the middle one, okay? And what you want to do is to do a shunt between the battery one that goes directly to the battery, or the fuse that goes to the battery, and this one goes directly to the solenoid. And you may ask, well, what about the negative one? The negative one, or the ground one, is permanently connected to the ground or the battery negative of the car. So doing here a click, I can hear something and see the spark, but I cannot hear in here. I can hear it on the trunk, which means the diagram or the assembly of this is backwards. So this one may be the solenoid one. So same story, take out the relay. Be careful. Already I can see some issues on the relay, and do the same procedure. So you have your battery terminal and you have your exit to the solenoid. And as you can see, perfect. So we have a good fuse, good wire, good everything, good ground also. And now we just have to see two things. If the relay is okay for testing, again, down on the description, already I did some videos for testing relays. You can follow that. And we have to test if the signal that comes to close the relay is good or not. And so connecting here the prompts to the signal wire, you have to see when pushing the button, the light bulb must go on very brightly. Remember that this circuit uses very thin wires, so you cannot abuse this test. Just do a tap or two on a button and the light bulb must turn on. If it does turn on, it means that you have signal to close the relay, and if you close the relay with that wire imitating the relay, this also works. That leads you to your relay. Now, if you get a new relay and the same thing happens, it means your new relay is bad, because you did all the testing that you can possibly do to determine that the problem is really or not the relay. So let's just do this ultimate test here and see what's what. So I'm glad this happened, because in some cases a 55-watt lamp is really too much for the system, and this system particularly protects itself from overconsumption. So I have a 5-watt lamp here that works perfectly. So in this way I know that I have signal to close the relay. I know that once the relay is closed, I can actuate my latch here, my solenoid. So definitely I really do have a problem with this relay. I already did test this relay off camera, because I already did it several times on this channel, and indeed it does not click. But imagine that your relay clicks. That does not mean it has the perfect contacts to close the gap between those two prompts over here, okay? Already did talk about that on the videos that are below on the description, so this video does not take too much of your time. So in this way, a new relay is in order. Here we go, perfect. This is also a new old stock relay, that's why it is so dull in appearance, but it is really a new relay. So I will treat the surfaces with WD-40 on the relay and also here on the prompts, on the connector. I will switch out the position of these two connectors. It is really easy to do. Remember the Alfa Romeo V6 on the front near the battery. It's the same thing, just to switch out the positions. and in this way it is the same as it is on the diagram, so in the future no one gets confused by that, okay? And also at the end I don't have any dielectric grease, but I have some Vaseline that I can use to fill up these holes to prevent any moisture that was the problem here with this relay. Moisture, it is bad on the inside. And at the end, at the very end, I'll use also a system that I developed for the 156s and some Peugeot cars. That is that bag that I did tell you about on my video about the window regulator on my Alfa 156, also down on the description, to prevent the moisture that comes from this area of the fill up, also here on top of the boot weather seal. So with time, and also here with the breather to the outside side of the car, that is also a lot of moisture on this area because of all of those things. So we want to solve and prevent future happenings, okay? Yeah, and just like that, another issue, electrical issue, solved here on the Alpha 164. The next, before the next video, you really have to put the right relay on that position, because those two relays share some wiring, and if you do not have the correct relay for this function, the boot release will not work. So ask me how I know that. I tested everything before I closed the boot. So I come to the conclusion that the relay that I have in house does not have that diode inside of the relay that stops the current flowing one side or another. Already talked about that on the videos on the description. So put the correct relay on the function that you are working in. For this function specifically, I will leave the part number down also on the description. Yes, for the next video, I will take care about the ABS system. Already did some preview working here on the ABS system about here the wiring for the front sensors of the car, the wheel sensors, the wheel speed sensors, and I guess I already know a fault or two at least for this system. My diagnose machine, I believe it will not enter this system. Entering or not, I will do this diagnose old school without diagnosing machine, at least to a point, so you to understand what you can see on your case to diagnose a ABS issue. Guys, remember, down on the description below a lot of info that can be useful for you. So I see you next time, guys. Bye.